The day God met with other gods, Psalm 82 revealed. In the ancient world of drifting sands and silent mountains, there was a psalm so strange, so mysterious, that even scholars and priests whispered about it carefully in dim candlelight. It was not a psalm about comfort, nor a song of simple worship, but a vision, a terrifying glimpse beyond the veil of heaven itself. Psalm 82 begins with words that seem almost impossible at first hearing. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, and then, even more unsettling. He judgeth among the gods. For centuries, readers stopped at those lines in confusion, wondering what the ancient writer truly saw on that forgotten night, because this was no ordinary gathering. This was a divine council, a heavenly courtroom, where beings older than kingdoms stood trembling before the throne of the Most High. Imagine the silence of that celestial chamber. Endless darkness stretching beyond stars not yet born, towering spiritual beings surrounding a throne of burning glory. Ancient Israel believed the universe was alive with unseen powers, watchers over nations, rulers over kingdoms, spirits assigned authority beneath the sovereignty of God Himself, and Psalm 82 opens the curtain for only a moment, just enough for humanity to witness something forbidden. The Most High rises among these heavenly rulers, and His voice breaks across eternity like distant thunder rolling over the sea. He accuses them of corruption, injustice, cruelty toward mankind. How long will ye judge unjustly, and accept the persons of the wicked? The gods of the nations, once entrusted with heavenly authority, had become proud, violent, hungry for worship that belonged only to the Creator, and now, judgment had come to heaven itself. But the greatest mystery was still hidden within the final words of the psalm, because the sentence God speaks is shocking beyond imagination. He declares to these mighty beings, "Ye are gods, but ye shall die like men, immortal rulers, condemned to fall, divine beings facing death itself," and ancient listeners would have understood the terror of those words immediately, because if heavenly powers could fall, then the entire world beneath them would tremble as well. Kingdoms, empires, kings, false temples, all hanging by threads before the justice of the Eternal One. And somewhere within this forgotten psalm, hidden beneath poetry and ancient symbols, lies a truth that still disturbs theologians and historians today. If you feel drawn into these ancient mysteries, quietly subscribe to Immersive Tales, and in the next part, we will descend deeper into the lost belief of the Divine Council, and uncover why some ancient writers believed the nations of earth were once divided among supernatural rulers themselves. Long before modern religion softened the mysteries of the ancient scriptures, the people of the ancient Near East believed the heavens were filled with order, ranks, thrones, and powers beyond human imagination. To them, the universe was not empty space drifting in silence, but a living kingdom, layered with spiritual authority. At the summit stood the Most High God, eternal, uncreated, beyond comparison. Yet beneath Him, ancient tradition spoke of heavenly beings entrusted with influence over the earth, guardians over tribes and nations, watchers over kings and empires, and hidden echoes of this belief can still be found scattered throughout forgotten passages of the Bible, passages most people read quickly, never realizing what they truly imply. In the book of Deuteronomy, one ancient version describes God dividing the nations according to the number of the sons of God. As though the peoples of earth had once been placed beneath celestial rulers appointed from heaven itself. And so, Psalm 8:2 was not describing a myth from foreign lands alone, it was confronting a crisis within the heavenly order, because those entrusted with guiding humanity had become corrupted by power. Ancient rabbis later whispered that these beings desired worship, influence, obedience. They turned kingdoms toward violence, pride, bloodshed, and false religion. Behind earthly empires, behind cruel kings and collapsing civilizations, there moved unseen powers shaping the hearts of nations, and this idea terrified the ancient world, because it meant human history was not merely politics and war, but a shadow cast by invisible conflict in the heavens above. Even the prophet Daniel hints at this mystery, describing spiritual princes standing behind earthly kingdoms like Persia and Greece, unseen rulers battling beyond mortal sight while humanity remained unaware beneath them. Then comes the haunting center of Psalm 82, where the Most High rises in judgment against these fallen authorities. The language becomes heavy, sorrowful, almost mournful. God accuses them of failing the weak, abandoning justice, allowing darkness to spread across the foundations of the earth, and suddenly the psalm no longer feels ancient alone, because its words begin echoing into the modern world: corruption, greed, oppression. Nations trembling beneath wicked powers, it all feels strangely familiar, as though the ancient writer believed humanity still wandered beneath broken rulers even now. Yet the psalm also carries a promise hidden inside the judgment, because the heavenly rebellion will not last forever. The corrupt powers will fall, their thrones will crumble, and the final verse cries out with desperate hope: "Arise, O God, judge the earth." If these forgotten mysteries stir something deep within you, quietly subscribe to Immersive Tales, and in the next part, we will uncover why some early believers connected Psalm 82 to Lucifer himself, and the terrifying war believed to have erupted in heaven before mankind ever existed. As centuries passed, the mystery of Psalm 82 only deepened, because many ancient readers began asking a dangerous question. If heavenly beings truly rebelled against God, then who led them into corruption? In the silent monasteries of the early world, among weathered scrolls and flickering lamps, some believed the answer pointed toward a name wrapped in fear and legend: Lucifer, the shining one, the fallen adversary. Though Psalm 82 never speaks his name directly, later traditions began weaving the psalm into the larger story of a cosmic rebellion, a fracture within heaven itself. They imagined a time before humanity, before kingdoms, before the first breath of Adam, when pride entered eternity like poison drifting through pure waters. And certain heavenly rulers turned away from the authority of the Most High. Ancient texts outside the Bible expanded these fears even further, especially the mysterious writings connected to the Book of Enoch. There, the heavens are described almost like a vast empire filled with watchers, angelic beings assigned to oversee the earth. Yet some descended from their sacred station, desiring power, forbidden knowledge, even worship from mankind. They taught violence, sorcery, corruption, and humanity slowly drifted deeper into chaos beneath their influence. To ancient believers, this explained why the world felt wounded from the very beginning, why empires rose through bloodshed, why false gods demanded sacrifice, why darkness seemed to follow civilization wherever it spread. The rebellion in heaven had spilled downward into the human story, and earth itself became an echo of a greater war unfolding beyond mortal sight. And perhaps that is what makes Psalm 82 so unsettling even now, because it presents God not as distant from the corruption of the world, but confronting it directly, standing in the midst of rebellious powers and declaring their end. The psalm becomes more than poetry, more than symbolism. It becomes a warning that no throne, earthly or heavenly, can stand forever against divine justice. One day, according to the ancient vision, every false ruler will fall silent, every hidden power will answer before the eternal judge. And the nations themselves will belong fully to God once more. But there is still one final mystery left unexplored, because centuries later, Jesus himself would quote Psalm 82 in front of his enemies, and his words would leave the religious world stunned into silence. If these ancient secrets and forgotten scriptures draw you deeper into the shadows of history, quietly subscribe to Immersive Tales, and in the final part, we will uncover why Christ used this forbidden psalm, and what his shocking statement may reveal about the true identity of the gods of Psalm 82.